Just talking to the kids when we bring a truck over and we'll park it in the parking lot, and the kids come up and they're like, "Oh, I probably saw you at a show in Texas or Michigan or Southern California," and just like you realize that there are people from all over that have seen us at shows that we bring the truck, and there were people posting pictures of it at the show that they were at, like with themselves before they even came to Wyotech. And so it was kind of cool.
It's a little scary, actually. The one kid that came, I think he was like 7 or something. He had a picture with us. And we're like, there's no way that we're that older. We've been doing this that long. Like, starts to get a little scary.
Welcome to wyotech's podcast. I'm Ashley Chitwood. I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Wyotech, and here to talk to the two of you today. You're Hall of Famers. You're here on the podcast today to tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and just have some conversation around the trades and what's going on. So go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Tyler Groth. When I came to Wyotech, I took diesel and street rod, and my brother and I own Mirror Racing and race monster trucks all over the country.
And I'm Travis Groth, and while I was at Wyotech, I did diesel and chassis fab, high-performance engines, I believe it was at the time. Like he said, we built monster trucks over the last 15 years, sold off some, raced some all over the country, traveled some out of the United States, and work in the shop every day, fixing them, repairing them, load them up for the weekend, take them out, race them, bring them back, and been doing it together, since pretty much since we left Wyotech.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how many years have you been doing this?
We've been owning trucks for 15. We crewed before that when we had what we called real jobs.
Okay.
When we left Wyotech, we got job offers and took jobs with Kiewit, and then moved to Portland, Oregon, and worked for a couple years doing construction. The traveling thing never bothered us. Kind of grew up doing that. But yes, we did that for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And then decided to jump in. We were using all of our sick days and vacation days to go monster truck on the weekend. So finally had to jump all in, and 2010 was our first show.
That's awesome. So let's rewind. You've been doing this for several years now, and it sounds like your journey's taking you a couple different places. But what got you interested in the trades to begin with, right? Like you're not originally from Wyoming. You're here now, but you lived in Washington, right? And at one point in time, you decided as two young men that you're going to go to Wyotech. So tell me how you decided to do that.
I think first heard of Wyotech was a friend that we had. His older brother came for collision refinishing. And then we had a friend from high school as well that came with us to do collision. And we had talked about it. And the automotive thing really wasn't our thing. It was the diesel. It was the bigger equipment. We had worked on Jeeps, trucks, everything through, built all kinds of stuff. But the diesel side is what kind of got us interested. And 3 of us drove out, did a campus tour, I think. And a couple months later,
we're here.
Packed up everything we had, our Jeep and his truck, and drove out and did 9 months.
I think it was just something like fun, cool, kind of like, oh, school can be fun kind of thing. So it was a crazy experience, I think. You're kind of like, oh, they treat it like a job, like don't miss days. We were proud, we had our pins just like you see the kids out there now, without missing days of school. It was just a different experience, I think, than like we went to community college and stuff that is just like sit down and study. This is hands-on, which was always us. We were working on remote control cars or in the garage with our dad or fixing whatever it was or trying to fix, I think at that point, just taking apart. But still, you start somewhere. So I think just like the kids now, we have kids come to the shop and same thing, their experience. They're just looking forward to the jobs. So we tried, got a real job and bought all the fun things that real jobs give you. And but after that, it was, not as much fun. We thought we could do more.
Yeah. When you came here, I mean, obviously you said you like to do this type of stuff and be hands-on, and you tinkered with things in the garage with your dad, and that kind of is what got you interested. You came to school, but did you have in your mind what you wanted to become? Like, oh yeah, we're going to do this when we graduate. You mentioned, oh, I didn't know school could be fun. And that's something that, in the economy today and just socially, it's you have choices, right? There's four-year university, there's community colleges, there's trade schools, and you picked wyotech. And you mentioned, it feels like a job. You're at school full time for 9 months, and you have to be clean shaven, and you have to, show up professionally, and that can be intimidating. But you still called it fun. And so, can you talk to me a little bit about like your experience here, right? Like you came here, you knew you were going to be doing things that you wanted to do, but at that time, did it meet your expectations? Was it harder or easier than you thought it would be? Did you struggle through the classroom piece because you have to learn some of those basics, right?
Yeah.
And then how did that kind of translate into, your vision for the future?
I think coming here, me personally, and we probably weren't 4.0 students. High school, all right,
I did get better grades than he did.
Okay, this is a twin thing going on right now. All right.
But we got here, and I remember having a couple of really smart toolbox partners that probably helped you a lot too during the parts where you didn't understand it or struggled or through it. That I don't think it was necessarily harder than I was expecting. I think learning some of it was a little difficult. I think there's some stuff that he's better at now, like electrical. I don't understand it. I just literally get the butt connectors, electrical tape, whatever he needs.
Know your strengths.
Stand back.
Right?
That's what he does. But the rest of the stuff, I'm like, hey, nope, I'm doing this. But as for, during school, I think I enjoyed every class. I can't say that one was more fun. I think clearly chassis fab was my favorite. But as in the diesel program, I think the hydraulic and electrical one, but not the electrical part, was fun and learned more in that than maybe I hadn't known before. The engine stuff, maybe I'd known a little bit, or the transmission differential stuff, I'd known a little bit. But I think maybe the one that I learned the most out of was for sure the hydraulic and electrical part, just because one of my weaknesses, I guess, at the time. And from there, then every time after that, you'd be like, oh, I learned a little bit. I can try that. Let me see if I can fix that first.
So when you were going through some of that, were you kind of in your mind thinking of like, oh, I really like doing this. Maybe I'll go down this path. Like, were you formulating what you might want to do based off of what you were learning in class?
Yeah, I don't think I ever thought I'd be doing what I am doing now. But for sure at the time, it's like, I better learn a little bit of all of this, because whatever job I get, I might need to know that, or I'll probably get a job in the one that I'm not as good at as some of the other things. And so I think when we did the career fair and all of that, and going to the jobs from different, just like a little equipment manufacturer to a construction company to, there's all the little different pieces of it that you had to know. And yeah, at that point, I didn't know I was going to get a job. Literally the week that we left, I think we both literally went down there, got a hotel room, and they're like, can you start on Monday? And we're like, we brought one car and a suitcase. And so we turned around, we were only 3 hours from there at the time after we got offered the job. But we had been here and done the career fair and interviewed with them before. So we kind of knew a little bit about it. But then, just literally got rushed right into it and hit the ground running, I guess.
I think picking the jobs, like there was over the truck just repair, in the shop every day, and kind of just knowing like what we like picking the job for that, of the traveling or the just something new every day. That's like what we do now. When we were looking for a job, like, oh, there's a 3-month project. I worked in Las Vegas and Portland, Oregon. We both worked in Nome, Alaska, Valdez, Alaska.
I was in
traveling,
Hawaii.
Travis got to go to Hawaii. Just seeing different things, experiencing, meeting new people, like what it would lead to us now. That's literally what we do. We meet new people every weekend. We travel. We fix stuff. But looking back at what we learned, I think when you learned it at wyotech, you were younger and you're like, oh yeah, I might use that. Just like high school, like math. What am I ever going to use math for, kind of thing. But we learned it all, but now electrical, hydraulics. We drive a semi-truck to pull our monster trucks. So we do the air brakes, just every different system we learned in diesel. Even when he said welding and chassis fab and engines, we built our own engines. Yesterday, before we came to the dinner, I was fiberglassing and bondoing a hood back together. Like everything we learned in the street, we literally used. At the time, no, I didn't think like, oh yeah, we'll use some, like he said, you just kind of take it all in. But everything we do now seems we learned
And the
from
people
here.
that like fiberglass and Bondo are a little weird. So there's one back at him.
There's nothing wrong with being weird. It just makes us creative. That's what I say.
But yeah, it's just like the experience of just the learning. Just get a little bit and then you can go from there. So yeah, there's been a lot of troubleshooting of stuff we've built and built some motors and forgot some bolts here and there. And even fiberglassing stuff. I don't like fiberglassing, but it's part of our job when we roll over. But yeah, it's just, you just learned the basics here and even a little more than that. And then just where it's become is crazy. And like we said, we've had some wyotech kids come over. When we get behind, we bring a truck over and try to corral a couple students like, hey, do you want to work on monster trucks this weekend? And it's crazy how like dedicated they are. They're like, I can't work after school, but the weekend I'm all yours. So they'll show up Friday after school and we'll have as much pizza and chips. And I remember, I guess, being that young and eating. They'll do anything for food. So, but just come over and just the willingness to learn, whether it's just cleaning tubes when we were welding the new chassis together to zip ties, nut and bolt, to running the hydraulic systems for the trucks. It's just, they just want to learn. And it's kind of cool. Like, oh yeah, that was us. And if we'd had a monster truck to work on while we were at Tech, who knows what would have happened. Yeah,
that's awesome. I think it's really neat that you're talking about our students in that way. And, one thing that wyotech, we've been around since the 60s, right? Like next year is going to be our 60th anniversary, which is just wild. That, we've had ebbs and flows as a business, but one thing that has remained is the integrity of our education. And, you mentioned that these students come work for you and they're like, hey, I'm taking this seriously. I can't do it during the week. I have school, I'm in class 8 hours and 15 minutes a day, but I'm yours on the weekend. And there's a type of student that we bring in. And it sounds like, based off of your experience too, you knew you wanted to do this. You committed to driving 1,000 miles plus to come to Laramie. Right. And I think that's what's so neat about the wyotech brand and what we offer is that there are so many choices to go anywhere to get trained. Right. But if you want a serious education and you want to get it done in 9 months, people come to wyotech. We talk about that. But one thing that I'm really interested to hear from the two of you about is the shenanigans. Do you remember the shenanigans you got into? Because at the end of the day, we have high expectations here. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, we have men and women coming in around 17, 18, 19 years old, maybe a little bit older, and they're here for the craft, right? Yeah. Because they're excited about what they do, but they're also living their life. So are there things that you remember that maybe were a little edgy that you're like, yeah, we should have probably gotten in trouble for this, but we got away with it, or you did get in trouble?
I remember even our house, we weren't supposed to work on any vehicles or cars, in our driveway, but they were always breaking down. I remember all the time we would be working on that or in the street or, just trying to drag our vehicles across town when they would break. And you'd look back and we're like, yeah, we were young then. We pulled it off. We made it happen. And when we brought the truck over last time, we were talking about like the off-road club and stuff. And we're like, do you remember a couple guys that went up and off-road? We got stuck somewhere out past Centennial and like 10 or 20 of us all got tickets. The police guy was sitting in Centennial just waiting for us to come back into town. Yeah, that was our one. And they were like, yeah, I remember hearing something about that. And we're like, yeah, that was us. So it was a lot of fun up until that point. Yeah. That didn't stop us though.
We were everywhere out Lake Hattie. Just in the mud. We brought our Jeep and our buddy brought his pickup truck. So that's half the kids at Tech here and just going exploring. There's so much to explore around here too. Everybody, when they think of Wyoming, they think of the other side. We always say like, oh, trees and, we're like, no, we're down in the bottom. You're 2 hours from a major city if you want Denver, to do city stuff, but you're probably coming to Wyoming to explore and
so wide open
roads. Camping, just driving. Yeah. So you got tired of driving and then would camp and so there's just a lot to do. I think also things like we built our Jeep here. Trav built the chassis in chassis fab and I built the body in street rod. And literally it was the day before we were supposed to go home. And we're like, well, hopefully the body fits on the chassis to go home. So everybody's like, oh, I don't know
think
if
we actually made it home. I think
we
transfer case or something in the
drive
truck.
line.
Yeah. So somebody had to come rescue us in Montana on the way back to Washington when we left. So that was an adventure in December.
But it's just, I don't know. There's so much to do whether it's your projects, and we've had some kids again, they're like, oh, I built my car, I'm doing this. And even just taking that and going home, even though they'll get a job right away, at least they've started a project that hopefully gets them motivated when they're home to find a job, or just something that they're passionate about, I guess. Like we did what we called real jobs. We always say that, but the money and the toys, 4-wheelers and trucks and just anything we could buy. And it's like, okay, this is fun, but we want something that's like where you can go to work and not have to work. So every day we're in the shop. Our kids are there after school helping, mostly just rolling around in grease or dumping over oil buckets. But yeah, it's just fun. We go to work every day and it's not like work. So just
probably twice as many hours as you would normally work.
But it's a lot of work with monster trucks for 2 hours of fame on the weekend. But I always say we just enjoy working on them. Like somebody telling you, oh, it's broken, you won't get it back. And we're like, we can change a transmission in 20 minutes. Like that's nothing. And just like proving people wrong almost. Just like, oh, those people, they missed the show because they didn't do it. And we're like, oh, we can do it. Or helping other. It's one big family on the road. Like our families come on the road, but also the other teams. Like when we put our helmets on, we're there to win. And when we race each other, normally it turns out really bad. Competing against each other, one of us will roll over or something, pushing it too far. But everybody after the shows is working on the trucks together. So just whatever parts you need, whatever other people's experiences. We literally last week did something in Bozeman that we've never done. And the other guy's like, I've been monster trucking for 25 or 30 years. He's like, oh, just go cut this off, and came right off. And we would have struggled. So it's fun to be in an industry that everybody's a team, I guess, kind of. And just, hey, we're there to entertain. So if the trucks don't run, we're not entertaining. We're not doing our jobs at the end of the day. So if you can call it a job, monster trucking, because the kids are like, I want to be a monster truck driver when I grow up. And the adults are like, you have the coolest job. And we're like, all right, come to Southern California when it's 100 and some degrees and put a fire suit on and sit on a motor. But even then it's still enjoyable. So
Let's talk about the fun job, right? What's interesting to me is there's a lot of perceptions out there. Like, oh, to be successful, you have to look like this or go down this path. When I listen to you two talk, it's like you took your passion in a craft, and it's almost like you didn't look, like, oh, maybe we should be doing this. It's almost like you took your passion and you were just going to keep going forward with it. So, and it sounds like, you did the real job that you call a real job, but you're earning money and you're raising families doing what you love. And, how do we encourage people and inform people and let people know that there are so many lucrative opportunities to follow that passion and formulate this life of fun and, cool shit, that young people want to do, but maybe feel a little afraid, or their parents are afraid that cool shit's not going to make them money. How do you have that conversation?
I think that was just too, after we had got a job and we had been traveling on the weekends and using our, all of our time up and monster trucking or, racing is, to some people, it's, well, you don't make money in, racing. It's more for a hobby and I remember us thinking, well, we could try it. That was 15 years ago, quite a bit younger.
Asking our parents like, hey, we want to quit our good jobs that you just paid the money for us to go to wyotech. And
I remember the managers are at the company we were at are like, well, you can always have your job back because we'd love to have you back. So let us know. And we're like, okay, well, maybe we can try it. And if the job's there, if it doesn't work out or we like it, don't like it as much as we thought. But I think at just some point, it's just like, well, we've got a little money saved up. We've got a truck. We've know enough about the industry at the time to just go forward with it. And that was 3 or 4 years into it where it was just one truck and literally having nothing but a monster truck and a semi to drive it around. And took about 4 years, built another truck, and they were like, oh, this might actually work. We don't really have full-time employees, but quite a few other people that have helped and drove the trucks and worked on the trucks and, but it's mostly just the two of us. And then we get up to 4 trucks and we're like, oh, that's just way too much work. There's too much money, too many broken parts going out. Let's just go back to 3 for next year. And it's knowing the limits of what we can do and what the trucks and the industry and making sure the trucks are busy enough for us to to be able to afford parts and daily life and everything else, and just kept rolling along and still go. And then, like we were talking, COVID, it was a lot for a lot of different industries. And with us being entertainment, it was
people together.
It's like, oh, what are we going to do now? Do we just stop, or do we go wander to North Dakota, Montana, and try to find some shows that we can run at? And it for sure slowed down. I think we ended up building a couple trucks during that time, selling them, and finding, something different than we were even used to, or that we had been doing, to change, to go through that. And then out of COVID, it's just been so busy for us that we are still getting calls that's just like, oh, nope, we've already got 2 different cities that weekend. We're split up now. And it just continues to grow for us. And so it's, for us, we're looking at, some overseas options now to be able to run the truck, or do we stay here? And
we went to
how busy
Costa Rica a month ago. So we never thought.
If you need any wyotech marketing help while you're out, especially Costa Rica, you can take me along.
Yeah, we saw a lot of the hotel in the building, but we did get a wander around for a day. But it's just one of those, where do you go? Where do you keep growing or advancing, or what do we think would better us, or our industry or our business?
There's a lot of people that have come into this that haven't made it too. They, come in and they think, oh, I'm going to win everything and break everything. So a little bit of it is like not having that big ego of tearing stuff up and, going beyond what you can do. But like you said, the raising families, like proving people wrong of like, there's a lot of people in the industry that have monster trucks because they have very successful businesses, or they've had, corporate sponsorships and stuff. And, if people come to the show and like, oh, who are your sponsors here? And like, this is us. Like, we do everything physically that we can do to save ourselves money. And, we pace ourselves, pick our certain amount of weekends. But the flexibility of, oh, my kid's graduating this weekend, or first day of school, and like, oh yeah, we're not going to book anything that weekend. And most of the time it works out, but we're still a business. So 2 weeks ago, we were scrambling to finish the new truck, which we're going to bring to the car show this weekend. But Trav got a call on Friday to go do a show Saturday in Montana. And we're like, no. Okay. So I stayed and finished the truck, and Trav went up to Montana. So it's just a lot of fun. Our kids are at the shops whenever they can be working on stuff. And it's like when we worked on the trucks with our dad, they, most of the time they're making messes or sticking screwdrivers in things or throwing wrenches like towards the truck. And we're like, that's not fixing things. Maybe that's how we've tried to fix things, but hammers, maybe they look at us different than we think ourselves, but they get hammers and stuff out. And we're like, okay, yes, we do fix stuff with hammers, but that's, it's not the right way. But having just them there and support. Our wives come to the close shows, and our kids put on the crew shirts, and they just eat it up. So it's a lot of fun having them there with us.
That's awesome. I mean, when you're talking about that, I think about one of the things that wyotech always says is know your brand. And, our owner is a rancher. And so the idea of brand, right? You have cattle brands, you have a ranch brand, and that means something, right? Like, it represents who you are as a rancher, as a business person, and you put it into a school format. What we do as a school is our brand. What you're talking about is your brand, and your brand includes not only how you show up as a business, but as you show up as a leader in the industry. It's how you show up in your family. And so talk to me about like how you've started to build your brand as a team, but even as individuals. I mean, coming out, you had your real job, right? And you're probably still developing what that is. You work hard and you want to have a good name for yourself. And then it's like, oh, we kind of want to go to work for ourselves and create this stuff. So talk to me a little bit about how you feel like your personal brand and what you do has transformed over the years.
I would say first off in the industry, when we first had a truck, our brand was wrecking stuff. I would say first off, if it was the twins, they were for sure, that was us talking about us rolling over, breaking something. Trying to put it back together just to go break it again, I think was our original thing of just run the truck as hard as we can originally, make ourselves known. And it was fun to be able to run the truck that hard. If you just built all of this just to drive it around, was to us, it was well, we're going to run it. We're going to run it to find the limits of what we built and put together every weekend and see where it goes. And originally it was you, probably more the destruction one. That's what he's kind of known for, is breaking more parts than me.
And you're proudly just nodding. There's no rebuttal. It's
no,
just
there's not.
That's an accurate statement.
If you see my truck most weeks, I think I did 4 or 5 or 6 backflips before I finally was like, okay, and then he took my truck.
And I wasn't going to use my truck for that. I was like, well, give me your truck. I'll go do backflip with it.
But I think
see how it goes.
Just the risk kind of from like a steady job, like the comfort to getting out of your comfort zone, I guess would be was the big thing. Whether it was like your parents being like, well, we don't have wives or kids at the time when we started, like go be free, jump that line, see what happens. And then, starting off and just like almost trying to fit in, but trying to be your own, I guess, is the big thing. A lot of people are like cookie cutter, I guess, and just trying to be different, something to stand out. And we always had the twin thing. So like our business, Mirror Image Racing, my truck I drive, Double Trouble. Troublemaker came after Double Trouble, but just like the branding of something that we could be recognized with. Whenever somebody's like, oh, hey, if you called the twins or Mirror Image Racing, the twins, oh, who's Double Trouble? Oh, yeah, it's got to be the twins kind of thing. So just when somebody said something, they would think of us, whether it be promoters who were hiring us or somebody who wanted, a truck built or something, just being like, oh, if you heard of Double Trouble or Mirror Image Racing, the twins, just knowing that it would all come to the same place, right, I guess, and just kind of going with that. And it's still, it will sign autographs after a show and people come up and like, oh, you're twins? I'm like, did you guys miss the whole show?
Did you not see this?
It says Mirror Image Racing on the side of the truck. Double Trouble, the announcer. It's like, hey, twin brothers out of Laramie, Wyoming. And just, I guess, coming back here kind of full circle, you say, COVID times in Washington was a lot different than here. So coming back here, being more centrally located, and just the ability to work, survive. There was, you couldn't even take your kids to the doctor. You couldn't. It was just kids couldn't go to school. Like, what are we doing? And at the time, looking back,
we came out for vacation to visit some friends, both of our families. We came out for a week and hung out, and my wife's like, I kind of like it in Laramie, and I'm like, well. We're like, we lived here for a year.
You were here in the summer. You weren't here in the winter.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. And
they both said, like, let's do it. So we literally went back, sold the house and
the shop, packed everything up, moved the whole business, and we're traveling with business so we could move
ourselves.
And still, it's just now if we had something booked on the West Coast, it was a little farther. But some shows actually got closer than events that we had at the time. So it was kind of an easy transfer. And we got here and found he's got a nice place out of town. We brought our horses with us from Washington, and the kids love them now. But it was just like, let's just find something that fits our needs. I have a place in town. We love bike riding downtown to the market, doing all that. But we got here, and there's been zero complaints. We love Laramie. The kids, the families, just...
Yeah, never did I think we'd move back to Laramie after leaving with school.
And we now have a big shop over on the south side of town, park 4 semi-truck and trailers, have lots of teams come through. We're right on I-80, so people going back and forth all the time come in, stop, use the shop. It's kind of fun where we're in Washington, you're out in the corner there and didn't get a lot of traffic, but having other teams come through, use our shop.
They can swing in, and we're like, they'll text and we're like, all right, we'll leave a power cord out the door, and teams just show up and use whatever they need, and they know they can. And same thing when we're traveling other places back east that we don't normally go, just being able to pull in and like, oh, plug in. We stay in our semi trucks, everything we own's in them. So it's just cool to have different teams stop by and check out Laramie too. There's a lot of, they're like, oh, what do we do? And we're like, oh, just go drive up in the mountains or go to the hot springs or go downtown. So it's just kind of cool to show our town, I guess now, Laramie, when we were here before, it was like, oh yeah, where are we going and how far away? And now it's like, just everybody kind of knows like, oh, we're in Laramie. And so we've had a couple of the other guys when we bring the monster trucks over, if there's other drivers over at our shop, like, oh, just come to tech with us. Just, come see what it is. Cause it's crazy. And we learned last year at the Hall of Fame, like how far it had gone down before Jim kind of took back over. And
12 students.
yeah. And we learned that we were like one of the biggest classes, 2,500 something right around there. And we're like, it was big. It was spread out all over town. Now it's all
north and down and
one location and housing, and how much better that would have been of not having to get your truck to start to go to school in the morning. Crazy how far it's grown.
Yeah.
And yet still doing the same thing. Still teaching kids the diesel, the air brakes, the hydraulics, chassis fab. Like after so long and so many different school going down, COVID, everything, it's still doing the basics. Like you said, the brand is just, it's kind of crazy.
We pull in the cars just along both sides. Like you don't realize how big the school is or how much, people are. Laramie's not a real big town.
No. And there's value to that, right?
Yeah, that's what we like
one thing
about
that we are establishing is that, we are America's trade school, destination trade school.
Yeah.
And I mean, you all went from Washington to Laramie. Mm-hmm. And do you think that your travel here as young men at the time helped transform you because you left home to come here to Laramie to do this? I mean, it's a really cool thing that we offer. Like you said, we have housing now. We have on-campus housing. You moved your families here because you love Laramie. So, what do you think about this opportunity? Because, 80, 90% of our students actually don't even come from the state of Wyoming.
Yeah.
They're from every state in the country, which is so cool. Yeah. What is your perception on the value of people from across the country coming to Laramie, Wyoming to get training?
Yeah, I think that's when we left too. We're like, we can do it. Let's just pack up everything we got and go. I mean, it was...
You're young though then. I think, like you said, most of the kids are coming 17, 18, 19. We were 20, I think, when we came. And just kind of like, I don't know, you're always up for an adventure, but also it's a little scary coming to what you would say the middle of nowhere, away from a big city and stuff like that. But I think it definitely, prepared us for the future of like, hey, if I can move 1,200 miles away and go to school in a place I've never been, like, and then that should help for a job in the future.
Yeah, I was going to say, even getting a job afterwards, say you're from Washington and you came to Wyoming for a job and somebody offered you a job in Texas, you'd be a little bit more like, oh, I made it. I'm halfway there. I'll find a job there and see how that works. You're stepped out a little bit of your comfort zone, I guess, for the kids that aren't, real adventurous to start and hear and seeing and, just talking to the kids when we bring a truck over and we'll park it in the parking lot. And, the kids come up and they're like, oh, I probably saw you at a show in Texas or Michigan or Southern California. And just like you realize that there are people from all over that have seen us at shows that we bring the truck. And I think it was the Facebook post they posted of us when we brought the truck, and there were people posting pictures of it at the show that they were at, like with themselves before they even came to Wyotech. And so it was kind of cool.
It's a little scary, actually. The one kid that came, I think he was like 7 or something. He had a picture with us, and we're like, "There's no way that we're that older. We've been doing this that long." Like, starts to get a little scary, but yeah, I think it just sets you up for just that initial step of like stepping out of your comfort zone or your box. Mm-hmm. I guess coming here, a lot of people be like, oh, I'm going to move back home. Like you said, just go back to Washington and have a job. But if you did this, maybe you could do that the next step and not be as scared to kind of leap out. I guess for us, we worked at like a gas station and stuff, but getting like a real job, like Wyotech was it. Like you said, that going from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock every single day and have to be here, and like just prepared you for literally the week after we graduated and having a job, because that's what they're going to expect. And
I even remember just at school the different things once we got here of being like a classroom leader and the instructors being like, oh yeah, I think you'd be really good for it. And I'm like, I have to get up in front of the class and give my speech and talk. And then now I got to stand out in the shop while everybody's sweeping and cleaning and got to be like, oh, that needs done, But I remember that even too was something different that when I got there, I'm like, oh, that's kind of a neat thing. I could be in charge of that. And
now we have to talk on a microphone in front of thousands of people every weekend. So
yeah, I never knew then standing up in front of 30 people was, intimidating. And we radio station, news interviews.
It was just preparing you
for the job.
For what's to come.
Even that was, who'd have thought at the time? But that's what we say all the time. When we were here, there was never an idea that we would ever even own. I mean, it was a dream. I can remember, you'd be like, oh, it'd be fun to own, a motorsports team or our own shop or something, down the road. It was never traveling the country, working on monster trucks, driving them. I don't think it was ever this big. It would have been, a little shop back home would have been, nice couple, work on some trucks and do that kind of stuff. And then just kept going one thing after the next. And maybe it's helped having the two of us that some stuff that's like, oh, well, you like to do that, or it's easier to do that. And, that probably helped us being together. Like we've said, done everything together our whole lives, but
School jobs.
Yeah, pretty much everything. But I think that's where it gets to where, oh yeah, we can do that. We'll try that and see where it takes us. So
cool. So how can people follow you? Do you have social media? Like how can we track where you're at across the country doing your shows and doing different things? Like how, do you have social media channels? Are you on TikTok? What's your website? Like tell us all the details.
Our website is mirrorimageracing.com. Or we do Facebook, Mirror Image Racing. You can type in Travis Tyler Groth too. We have a page.
It'd be our, I don't know what you'd call it, not a fan page. We're not technologically advanced, but Travis Tyler Groth is the one that we post all the monster truck stuff on for pictures of the shows or schedules.
People can send us questions or, hey, you'll be in my town. Can I come help? Which we get a lot of the time, or just, tracking where we're going, seeing what we want to do. We've had some kids who are like, hey, if you come to my town, kids at Word Tech, you come to my town, how do I come help out? If I want to do this, what can I do? And we say, like, either get a hold of us or just look what trucks. All the summer stuff is all what we call independent trucks. Everybody owns them. And so we're always willing to have kids help. So we said, if you want to do monster trucks, if you're a student now, just look at the show, look at the truck names, find them on social media. Like
I remember even we had one student that was from Alaska. And we're like, we go up there every Labor Day for the last 4 years, put them on a boat and ship them up. And we get to spend Labor Day up there every year for the last 4 years, bring them back down and keep on. So we're literally just everywhere.
For a weekend or two. See if it's for you, the traveling thing and just monster trucks, the family. So it's just kind of cool that people can reach out through Facebook.
If we had any of the other ones, I don't know if we'd have even time to do any of the
maybe the next time we talk, you might have a TikTok, huh?
The
nervous
team
laughter.
can help us. Maybe a little marketing.
That sounds
okay.
Maybe it's easier than we think. Maybe we're just...
Yeah, I think it might be easier. That's my challenge for you is to give that a go.
Okay.
I think it'd be fun. Any last advice that you would give to parents, to students about going into the trades, right? Like you've made some tremendous success for yourselves, living your passion and doing what you love and raising families. What advice would you give to people who are either reluctant to get into this because it's what they're passionate about, but maybe doesn't feel practical? Like, what would you say to that?
First off, I'd have to say there always has to be a job that would fit you, even after school. Mm-hmm. If it's the beyond the school that worries you, that come to school, find what you like to do, and the job will be there that fits you the best. It's not like you're going to be stuck finding a job or be like, oh, I don't know, this or that. I think that's the biggest thing is there's something in the industry. Whether it be automotive or diesel, we know the diesel side of it. There could be, you could work at a dealership working inside, working on just plugging a computer in and seeing what's wrong with it, or maybe you're the guy that's rebuilding the engines on them or anything that, two different worlds in the same industry. You could be outside every day working if that's what you like to do, or some people like climate controlled buildings and routine and schedule. So I think there is a wide variety of options once you have the education. That
I think taking the risk, I guess, we're kind of a success story, I guess, doing what we love, but there's a lot of other people that have come out of wyotech that do different things. Like you said, you could indoor, outdoor. It's not just, this is going to be your one job when you're done with wyotech. Mm-hmm. Like we got jobs with Kiewit working construction. Now we do monster trucks. Never thought the one would lead to the other. But I think the risk, for when we came out here with our parents, like during the school, I think it was like, you guys sure you want to go to Laramie? Like so far from home. There's other tech schools, there's trade school kind of things. But just looking back, knowing, like he said, a job coming out of here, I think as long as you put in the effort here, getting a job leaving, not many other people can do that. And even the tech kids that come over to help us, they're all about the career fairs. Like, oh, the career fair, I talked to this company, I talked to that company, and they were literally like checking their phones while they're working on the monster truck, like, oh, did I get a job offer? Yeah. And it's just like,
but even friends from when we went to school, like, I know he just, it was diesel, but now he owns a excavation company. So he's still working with heavy equipment, but he's working for himself, not technically in the diesel field, but using equipment that, now that he has the education, he can repair himself. He doesn't have to send it off. And that's still something in the industry that he's doing now, working for himself. And
he learned
we talked to him last week. Just busy as can be. Love doing it. I get the winters off. Can't,
forging your path and knowing your brand. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that is even something outside of the box that is your training, but something completely different than he probably would have thought when he came to school. And that's just, different
what
idea.
you make of it. You can make the most of it and go from there. So
that's awesome. Well, Tyler and Travis, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Yeah.
Really appreciate having you here, and we'll make sure we put in our little links, how to find you, how to follow you around,
TikTok to come.
And TikTok to come. That is my challenge to you both. But thank you.
Are you giving us a year? Is that
a year? I mean, that sounds like a long time to get a video up. Maybe like next week, just one.
Okay, so we'll start in 6 days then.
Great.
Today, Friday.
Next
Thursday, we'll start on
tonight would be a great opportunity.
While we're sitting at dinner, okay.
Exactly. All right. Thank you both. I appreciate it.
Thank you.